everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Data Standard Audio Experience. I'm your host, Catherine Tao. Today we have Ashley Odom, a principal data scientist from One Formatics, and today we're going to be speaking more about women in data science and just women in tech. So, welcome to the show, Ashley. I want to hear more about your experiences, and I'm excited to hear more about what you have to say.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Can you just tell us about yourself and go ahead and introduce yourself?
Like I said, my name is Ashley Odom. I'm a healthcare data scientist and founder of One Formatics. We help healthcare organizations and public sector entities build data capabilities. And we do that through services such as analytics strategy, project management, prototyping, actually doing building out dashboards, data pipelines, machine learning implementations, and supporting data governance. My background is largely in healthcare. I've spent the last 11 years working across the healthcare commercial and public sector industry, not clinical, all the back end data, administrative type stuff that is part of our very complex healthcare system. But I've had the opportunity to work with some of the largest electronic health record, EHR, and claims data sets available. And I studied computer science in undergrad at Duke University and public policy, and also had the opportunity to do my MBA at Clark University. My career path has been a mix of management consulting with occasional deeper dives into data science and analytics to keep my skill set sharp, and because I really still enjoy spending a lot of time in code and actually building things in code.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like you have a lot of different experiences to kind of pull from. So that's awesome. I wanted to hear more about your experiences, specifically just in academics and your workplace. How was the support system there?
Yeah, I think so. Academics is really not that far off from 20 years ago now, which makes me feel really old. It's been a very different experience than, of course, the workplace. I didn't spend a lot of time in academics, just undergrad and doing my MBA, but I found my undergrad in general is a really difficult experience for me, just for a lot of the academic reasons. And when you're like 19 and trying to figure out your life, it's certainly not easy. So definitely a note of encouragement to all of those young folks who are out there. It gets better. But I found, 20 years ago in computer science, I was the only female in a lot of my classes, and also had started in some engineering, and it was kind of the same there. So I found that particularly unsupportive and isolating, although there were exceptions and generally had to do with the specific professors and how they made their class environments. So, just kind of on the gender topic, like there are these sort of stories I have where like I'd be the only female in a group. We did a group project, and they would sort of assume that I wanted to do the user interface. And so like without even asking me, they would be like, okay, you're going to do the UI, right? Like, and it turns out I'm really bad at that. Like I'm not at all artistic. And so things like that, are definitely things that came up, but made it through. The workplace, I think, was a really mixed bag, but I would say in my last role, I worked with a really, really fantastic like-minded team, had great managers, and my direct manager happened to be female and really didn't fit the stereotypes of a corporate director, but was really highly regarded in the industry and had a lot of influence in our team and organization as a whole. And so I'm really glad to have had that experience. So I kind of feel like I've seen the spectrum and the gamut.
Yeah, definitely. And that's great that you were able to share your experiences in academics. I think that's very common I mean, also for myself as a university student being one of the few women in the data science field right now. It's interesting to see. I think it's also tech back then, of course, it's different from what it is today, especially with the data science field right now. A lot of schools are having data science as a bachelor's major, but it seems like there is a strong support system right now, just because it's a newer field. Everyone's kind of figuring it out together, and so everyone's kind of sharing their thoughts and opinions on different things. So that's awesome. And we also have a Women in Tech series hosted by Laura Adele, and she's one of the chief data officers at Microsoft. And so on her podcast, she always talks about the idea of the imposter syndrome. And I wanted to bring that onto the show here and talk about that with you here. And so have you ever felt the imposter syndrome at any point in your career as going into a tech field or the data field? And how did you kind of handle this?
Yeah, for certain, especially data science is this weird mishmash of like all these things that no one person can know, and from the data engineering and infrastructure all the way to like the, developing new machine learning algorithms. I've never met anyone who really knows all of those things, and I doubt anyone else has either. So I think, it's just recognizing that we're all going to have some specialization based on the jobs we take, or the work we do, or our interests. And I think owning that specialization has really helped. Like mine is in healthcare and this kind of particular areas of analytics. So I think that's one thing, just own your specialization. The other, thing I've experienced is just kind of the credibility. I think earlier in my career, I felt like I had to sort of overcome this assumption that I wasn't credible when, I walked into the room for whatever reason, because maybe I didn't look like the typical developer or data, person. And so I think, that stuff is just demonstrate value and competence, and it's really up to others to acknowledge and to get the most value out of that. But yeah, I definitely have. I think, I've probably lost a lot of sleep over trying to learn stuff that I felt like I needed to know right then because I didn't know it. And I think, try to let that stuff go and focus on the things that are most important and most valuable.
Yeah, definitely. And I think everybody has imposter syndrome at some point to some degree throughout their just career. And with that, did you have any mentors or role models that kind of encouraged you to go into the tech field growing up?
Yeah, when I was career pathing, like data science, it wasn't so much of a thing. So it was kind of a lucky stumble into computer science from electrical engineering, which didn't go well for me. And but I really have enjoyed getting into the data science. And I'm trying to think. I had a professor at Duke that I did an independent study with. He was really awesome and really supportive. And I think it was cool to do like that independent project. And so I felt like when I was leaving undergrad, I sort of had a skill. It was a lot of like SQL work and had a solid project to talk about. And I think that really helped me a lot, kind of with having this really just first basis of something to talk about, that I had done and worked on and felt comfortable with. And then high school, I did this robotics program, first robotics. I think that really introduced me to STEM. I came from rural Arkansas, this tiny town that, and really it's odd that I kind of left and went into STEM from that town. But so I think programs like that really expose young people to science and technology are really, really valuable. And there were some women engineers that worked as mentors on that. And I think that was also really valuable to see as representation, but also, just all of the engineers encouraging everyone to see what's out there for them in STEM and just to kind of start getting some exposure to how fun that can be and how cool it is to build things, and to solve problems. So I think all of those role models have been really helpful for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's always great to have like a professor, like you mentioned, to look up to. They, of course, are experienced in the field and they're experts in the field. So that's awesome. Yeah. And my final question is just, do you have any advice for women or just anybody in general that is trying to get into the data science field right now?
Yeah, this is kind of probably random and all over, and maybe not even just for women, but for everyone. But don't be afraid to just kind of jump in. And I found like sometimes I have to sign up for something. Like I'll sign up to give a talk or something, and I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm doing, But you figure it out, and when you're forced to sort of figure it out and just do it, sometimes that helps instead of kind of trying to waffle around and say, oh, I wish I could do XYZ, or I don't know where to start. Just start, just start doing it. And then, don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's a big thing for me. I've heard that from other women, ask all of your friends, your colleagues, your professors, your bosses, if there's a particular thing that you're stuck on or you need resources to get to the next point, then definitely ask, right? The worst thing they can say is no. Because I think traditionally have not asked for help, I've actually also paid people to sort of help me. So different, websites, you can find experts in different areas. And a lot of times that pays off for, the investment I put into it. And so both just kind of career pathing mentors I've paid and also technical leaders I've paid to help. And so, maybe I shouldn't have to, maybe there's, freer options out there, but for me, it's worked out really well, and it's an option, I think people should think about. A couple other things I was thinking about. I think a lot of data and tech people in general, we tend to get really excited about the problems we're solving and not think enough about our audience. So when you kind of start your career and you're, doing projects, learn and really focus on learning how to communicate the solution and the problem in the context of the business. So really understand, like, what is your audience, what are your users thinking, what are they needing, and communicate it in that way, in a simpler and concise way. And I think that's been really valuable for me. It's kind of hard to explain what I'm getting at, but I think just the ability to communicate in the data science field is really really impactful. So don't underestimate the investment in that area.
Yeah, great insight there. Absolutely. I also wanted to actually, I know I said that that was my last question, but I wanted to actually add on another question. Just aside from tech and all that, everything is remote right now. What have you been doing just as a pastime, or do you have any hobbies that you've been doing just to keep busy? Is there any new things that you've been picking up? What are you doing to kind of keep busy right now?
Good question. I'm working a lot. We have a lot of projects going on and trying to run the company. So that's my, I guess, my hobby and passion at the same time. But I've really gotten into some cloud stuff. I think we're moving a lot towards cloud analytics, and so that's an area where I'm trying to learn and skill up a little bit and move the company strategically into cloud integrations. And so that's kind of been a fun topic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely a great way to keep busy and still being able to upscale your skills. Absolutely.
It's kind
Yeah.
of a nerdy hobby, I guess. Maybe that's I try to spend the rest of my time outside if I can.
Yeah, what do you do outside? Just go for walks?
I'm a big runner, so
Oh
I
yeah.
I try to get some runs in around town, and I have a run group that's pretty active, so I enjoy doing stuff with them.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's awesome. That's good to keep exercise too, just because we're always just cooped up in our house in front of our laptop doing work all day. So it's good to get outside and get some fresh air. Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. We at the Data Standard, we're trying to build a community of data thought leaders and data enthusiasts. Is there anything that we can do for you as a community?
Thanks for asking. I think, one thing is if you know of potential clients or folks who might need help building data capabilities, especially in healthcare and public sector, that's my area of expertise. Then we would definitely be interested in chatting with them. If there's anyone that you think I should meet, I would be happy to make introductions, and feel free to get in touch.
Yeah, definitely. And where can everyone find you online just to connect with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn is probably the best way. My social media presence is very unmillennial of me, but LinkedIn, it's Ashley Odom. I don't know how many of those there are, so you'll have
Yeah,
to find me, but it should come up as a one for Maddox, and you'll be able to find me on LinkedIn and connect there.
great. And for more information on the Data Standard, you can find us at www.datastandard.io, as well as our YouTube and LinkedIn page. And this episode is sponsored by Pandio. They're the hot new tech startup working on an Apache Pulsar messaging system. So you can learn more about their work at pandio.com. And thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us. Such a pleasure to have you. And we definitely hope to speak to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.